do you see yourself being the Bruce Lee of the coffee space?
I've been brewing coffee since 12 years now. Coffee was the only fuel that I had back then when I was back in college. I'd never consider Altry a third space altogether. I call it a second safe space. Altry means an alternative story. For me, Altry is a dance when nobody is watching, while everybody is watching. To start your business, to gain more, insight with a partnership. Not partnership anymore.
Oh God.
He told me कि एक बार जाके देखना मैं खोलना ही नहीं क्रॉस पॉइंट में तो बिल्कुल नहीं खोलूंगा मैं गुड़गांव और क्रॉस पॉइंट
Any regrets?
No. Tasha straight up said कि तू पागल हो चुका है तू मेरे साथ पागल हो ही गई अब.
Welcome to the Burnt Fingers podcast, a place where we talk to some of the men and women behind some of your favorite brands. People who've burnt their fingers doing things they love and somehow gotten better at it. I'm your host Amit and I have burnt my fingers. Today we've got on a dear friend of mine, a very eclectic individual, Sahil from Altry. Let's go.
Hello, what's up?
So, Sahil, my first ever memory of you is me being outside Cactus Lily and me being so swarmed with ops, right? But every evening at around 7 or 8 p.m., I would always see you walking by in Gal. And it was so insane. I was like, this guy runs a space in SDA, right? And still somehow you've managed to take time out of your day. And I think our industry is one where you get so stuck with what you're doing in your space. You feel so suffocated there, but somehow you always manage to take time out for you, right? Like, how important is that to someone like you, your own personal time, obviously running a very successful business and pushing, but also taking time out for things that matter to you. How important is that to you?
I think it's the sense of being in those moments that you give it to yourself, because in this business, in hospitality altogether, I'm just talking about, you become peoples, right? You are just in the industry, just for the industry, for the community, and then you forget the sense of belonging of your own self.
Yeah.
So giving those moments, those hours to you, where you are just, just walking by freely, maybe. I'll just grab my coffee, walk by, and see you guys messing your heads around, breaking walls and everything.
Oh shit! Yeah, we did a lot of breaking, a lot of construction. There used to be a lot of. There was always something going on. There was either some collaboration or a new menu launch or maybe the power didn't come on, or with Gal's famous electricity, right? So it's always things like that. But it was always a very refreshing change. And obviously through the course of it, you and I became closer friends. And then we also noticed that, hey, this guy not only makes coffee, but also is an avid dancer. And he pursues so many various hobbies. Somehow in the day you take out time to read as well. And do you feel like taking that much time out of your day has actually helped your business or helped your space in general?
Yeah, sure did, because then you're just restricting yourself with the life around that you're being around, right? So if you don't surrender to yourself, do things that you generally like doing, right? And you are restricting yourself with more perspective. Either you're meeting the same people in this, in any business, doing the same thing, doing the same routine. It's just the same thing that's been constantly in a loop.
So that's how you ensure you don't get burnt out as well.
So you need to break through. I think it has become a standard for living now in any business that we see, in any conversation that we had. Burnout is the cool, like, it's a new game now. People like to get burnt out. It's a trend. I'm a burnt out guy, or if you do something, you just get burnt out. You will get burnt out eventually if you're not taking out that time for yourself, right? So these are the things that keeps me alive. Reading, writing, dancing, or just surrendering to life is how I see it. If you're not giving it to yourself, you cannot give back to the society in any way, right?
Because the space takes so much out of you, and then it really is a ripple effect. And a lot of times I see it's just the hours that go into this, right? Wherein you have to, just by virtue of the industry itself, because it's an industry which goes on 7 days a week and 365 days a year, you miss weddings, birthdays, your partner's important moments, right? And eventually, I think that's what leads to the burnout as well, right? You don't have time to even process what's happening. You don't have time to process grief or celebrate a true success, right? It's just okay. You've hit a certain benchmark, you've hit a certain number. Now what, right? And it's always chasing something, but you've always managed to sort of distance yourself from work as well. And obviously, through our interaction, then you're sort of construction for this space, Altry, which I think we really need to talk about this because Altry is a place where as soon as you enter, you feel so calm, you feel so at peace. And it's something about the deck or something about the energy, and it's this whole concept of a third space which people talk about. But when people talk about third space, I don't think they fully understand maybe the psychology that goes behind the third space. So when you were like envisioning Altry and the space being, I know you designed everything, right? Because that's a big part of what you do. But what was your thought process like when you designed something like this? And what was the end goal?
The end goal was, okay, so it's funny and fun at the same time, like how we put third space out in here. Because again, another trend, another...
It's a term that gets thrown
Every
around.
other cafe is a third space, and they promote themselves as either community forward without any community driven content around, right?
We're building a community.
Building a community. I hate to use the word community now because it's so overused, over-exploited and misinterpreted term at the same time, right? But the third space idea, I'd never consider Altry a third space altogether. I call it a second safe space because third space now comes into the picture with where people just go and mingle around with their people and either working out of cafe or could be anything. Just being out there to other spaces to enter another one. So I called it second safe space in a way that people can be fool-like and stupid here, you know? People can be free without any other inhibitions. And that's how Altry came into the picture at the same time. Altry means an alternative story. How we do not approach ourselves or reapproach ourselves in day-to-day life, right? Let's say my alter personality is a drummer. Let's talk about it, right? I'm not drumming now.
You're a drummer as well?
No, I'm
It's
not.
an example, thank God.
Alternative personality.
You're making me feel so inadequate. Someone who writes, paints, draws, dances.
For me, Altry is a dance when nobody is watching, while everybody is watching at the same time.
That's a very eclectic way to put it, you know, because people don't understand the sort of thought and brain power it takes to curate a vibe of sorts, right? And when you have a vibe like this, I also have heard that you have a lot of principles when it comes to Altry. Strict, hard no-goes and things like that, right? Which I'm sure most of you might find very counterintuitive, but it's a thing like you open your laptop or you get on a work call and you're maybe asked to leave.
So it's not work-friendly. Not all cafes are work-friendly. Let me put it out nicely. When some cafes are not work-friendly, it's not because of they are trying to, you know, turn around table faster or make it profitable. That's the conception that people hold.
It's actually counterintuitive, right?
It is.
Leave, right? Because that's right then and there. You've not just lost revenue, you've lost a potential customer, right? Because when you've asked someone to leave, I doubt people are going to take that lightly, right?
They do not. And they think that you're doing it to make more profit, but in the end, you're killing your profit.
Yeah,
right? By
absolutely.
So the idea of the space is that you have to, it is a space out of your office hours, right? It is a space where you can just come and chill and be and have a conversation. Be a fool, I don't care. I just want people to be embraced by the ambience of it. So, you know how the textures of the wall works. You mentioned textures. I wanted people to be feeling grounding when you cannot feel the plain walls. You can touch the textures without touching the textures. That's how I see it. That's you just, you know, get ingrained in or get immersed by the vibe of it.
It's a whole experience that you've curated in general, right?
It's water. I want people to be like water.
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee was water.
Do you see yourself being the Bruce Lee of the coffee space? What's that about? Like, be like water, flow with the space.
Flow with the space. Yes, I don't want to be Bruce Lee of the coffee industry or the cafe industry. I really want to be Sahil in this spectrum. The people need to understand that how they are not freeing themselves in the idea of, you know, flowing or. I use metal in the space a lot.
And
right
metal. The textures. And even right behind us here, you've got a lot of...
So the idea of the metal is if this something rigid like metal can be rippled and, you know, flowing like water, so that human personality can be at the same time that we do not approach again. So That's the idea. I want people to come and just be.
A lot of us from the F&B space notice these very minute, intrinsic things, right? When you go to a space, because we take time out to look at these things, to notice, to feel how much of the actual end customer or consumer do you feel actually pay attention to these things?
They do. The right intent people, right audience actually appreciate it. Or I've seen, it's very intriguing for me because I have seen cathartic moments happening for people in this space where they are just coming with their hustle bustle routine, and the moment they step in, they are just sthir, bilkul calm ho jate hain.
Yeah.
And I have seen breakouts in this cafe because of the ambience or how they are just slowed down and coming to conscious with themselves at the same time. So I have had people who actually, surrendered.
Surrender to the
They do notice. Everybody notices the littlest of detail, and that's the idea of poetry at the same time.
Yeah.
Noticing the things that we do not notice, things that sit in the corner we do not notice. You will eventually notice here the duck that you noticed.
Yeah.
I have a T-Rex for no reason.
Yeah, it's a random blow up T-Rex. It looks like a weird blow up doll, but let's not talk about that.
See, everything doesn't need to have a reason, right? That's the idea of T-Rex here.
It just is. Right?
I like it. Just let it be.
I was actually thinking to myself, like, why have I noticed so much in such depth here? And maybe it's because you can't work here, right? You can't. There's nothing else to do. You're not pulling out your phone. You're not doing anything. You're not having forced conversations. You're just with yourself, right? And I think when you're able to do that, you are somehow able to take time out to notice the finer things in life. Maybe.
That's the life about, right? That's why the space exists. You need to pay attention to the things that you don't generally do in your day-to-day life at the same time. So, and working out of a space like this, you're disturbing the whole idea of rest is resistance. That's a manifesto that you need to, again, come in touch with yourself and pay attention to the things, because बाहर की जिंदगी बहुत ज़्यादा already भाग रही है. तुम रुक कब रहे हो? मैं रोकना चाहता हूँ लोगों को यहाँ पे कि तुम रुक जाओ बस. So like just come at peace with yourself, because you only know where that return is.
And coffee shops in general, if you look at most QSR brands, even your Starbucks and things like that, there is so much of hustle, bustle, waiting in line. What's your coffee order? What customization? It's just sometimes even the act of going to a coffee shop is just it's so hectic. Like when someone asks me like, what is your coffee order or things like that, I'm like, I drink coffee, but I don't drink hectic coffee where I have to stand in it. First of all, I hate lines in general. It just irks me. And then I know we made people stand in the line, but that's besides the point.
I did.
But it's the thing of when you have your coffee, I just like to have, it's like the one time of my day where I get to be with me, right? And it's very important to not have that hustle bustle of, these sort of heavy QSR things, right? When that's why I really wanted to have this conversation with you, because it's how you've managed to use this space. Even when you were designing the coffee program of this place, like what was the intuition you had, and what did you feel? Was it like a product market fit that you tried to do? Was it like, no, I want to make this coffee because I feel like it's just going to work here? Or do I just like it?
I did it because you know how, again, as you said, like standing in the queues and revising your order again and again before getting the order.
Right? Because like, if I take 2 minutes more to order, someone's going to throw it. You feel threatened. It's hectic.
So, and in that idea, I think, curation of beverages in that spectrum is really going huge in the market. I wanted to slow the mind, kill the decision power, and give them very limited choice and the comfortable choices. I thought of textures. I thought of how it feels in your, the mouth feel and everything. It should give you comfort rather than feeling like you're giving an exam or something. So I just played with that. I played with the comfort, and I'm so sure of my coffees and what I'm doing around with the coffee program here. The pairings with the coffee of the flavors at the same time. It's the utmost of comfort I wanted to give without, putting any cloud forms to it, whisking matcha. I like matcha, just saying. No hatred.
It's these trends like, your foams, and then your matchas and all of that, right? But it's also very hard because if the market is demanding a certain product, and to not make that or not fall prey to that, that is also very counterintuitive, right? Like it's very hard, because at the end of the day you also have to pay your bills, right? Like
you do.
where do you draw the line then?
I draw the line at you know, not everything have to be too much trendy or too much detailed unnecessarily at the same time, because that is, I think, in our industry specifically, the consumer is really confused, like what the consumer really wants.
Do you think the customer, the consumer is always right?
No.
Really?
No, they are not always right. They can be right in the spectrum of how they feel about the space, because everybody has a different palette, right? But when someone tries to counter your knowledge with their knowledge of certain things, or how things should be, in that spectrum, customer is not always right. Let's say working from out of cafe, I have had great backlashes on like, this is not done. This is the third space. Every cafe should have a workspace. How?
Yeah.
I don't think, I feel like customer, with all due respect, feels so entitled in this spectrum that they think that just because of them, if they do a certain thing, say a certain thing, the cafe people, the employees, the owner won't say anything, because they think that, because they are running the business. But that's not how it's done. You have put your emotion. Cafe is an emotional labor.
Yeah.
People do not realize that. Yeah, it's a labor of love. And before answering this, I'll ask you a question. Do you think cafe actually makes you more socialized or more isolated?
I think with restaurants and cafes and F&B in general, you have to become a social butterfly of sorts, right? Because if you want to, at the end of the day, bring in certain customers, and you're just dealing with people, talking to so many people, a lot of times, especially for someone who's not a social butterfly, someone like me, who's a little more quiet and reserved, you feel there are conversations which just energize you, and then there are conversations which really drain you. True. And sometimes when you go back home, or like you have a troublesome table, like I don't think people understand how emotionally draining it is, or emotionally invigorating it is, when you have one good interaction. One good interaction with a customer just makes your day, or really breaks it. It makes you question everything, right? Because you're working 7 days a week most of the time.
And 24 hours in the end, because it's always in your head.
It's always in your head, like, what can I do differently? What can I grow? Maybe let me look at my balance sheet. How do I sort of push revenue in this space? What is working? What is not working? And when someone, and it's very easy. And the thing with customers is, it's very easy for them to leave a negative review, or it's very easy for them to
fall prey to that.
tell you how you can be better. But just, I think psychologically, leaving a good review is so, it's so hard for people to do, because if you look at the stats, right, people either leave you a bad review or they say nothing. Right? But the experience needs to be absolutely exceptional, or a personal conversation where they fall in love with you, where they actually leave, a 5-star. Because that, if you just look at the data, that's literally how it is. Or if it's gonna be like a bot or something, then you.
That's how the entitlement comes in the picture when we were talking about it, right? Because people think a little slight mishappening or a bad experience that they do not resonate with, they will go crazy about it. They won't care about how other things make them feel. But a little, I think it's all about how their ego is satiated, for me. Right? Because if you cannot satisfy their ego, your reviews are gone.
It is true. But on the flip side, reviews really do matter. And there are there are people who genuinely come and take the time out of their hectic days to actually leave a good review. And I feel like those people, need to be celebrated, right? Because not only does it benefit the cafe or the restaurant, people genuinely, and especially I love this little touch which people do, where they write the name of the server or the host or hostess, because everyone views the Google reviews, right? And sometimes makes the servers data like, oh my god, like someone actually took time out of their day. So that's really special, know.
And it breaks you at the same time when someone actually took out time to put a bad review. And all throughout the day, all you were trying to do is people please in a way, right? Because this is a demanding business, right? You just please people. And then when you go at night sleeping, there's one person's words going on repeating in your head. Oh, उसने ऐसा बोला था यार, क्यों बोला था उसने, क्या हुआ था?
it's hard. And the thing is, I don't think people understand the extent of damage they've done. I think genuinely, if they understood the gravity of their actions, they wouldn't. Sometimes it's like a call for help, right? Because if someone is having a bad experience and they don't, most of the time I feel it's because they haven't felt seen. Right? When you feel seen in a space where you know the owners, you feel welcome there, then you would never write something like that. It's mainly just like a cry for help, I feel. Obviously, you have like, especially because this industry is so competitive, you see a lot of these blast of bad reviews which come at a particular time of the day, and all of those things are orchestrated. But in general, it's a little bit of a sucky feeling. But when you, as someone who obviously you've got your double master, and you do so much, right? What made you fixate this much on coffee?
It's been my fuel since day one. I've been brewing coffee since 12 years now, right? And I've been into this industry since 5 to 6 years now. Coffee was the only fuel that I had back then when I was back in college doing my bachelor's in literature and everything. And उस चीज़ से मैं इतना ज़्यादा intrigue हो गया था. That's when the Blue Tokai came in the picture around 2013, and I explored Blue Tokai in 2014. And the moment I did, I was like, this is a lot of thing that is going on in what we are drinking right now. And we didn't know. I didn't know at all. So there are only two things I ever fixated my personality or identity to, is writing and coffee. Because I would just, drink coffee and I write. And if I'm not writing, I'll again drink coffee and crib about it.
That's true. And Blue Tokai sort of really changed the way we look at coffee in India. Right? It somehow brought coffee as a space into the limelight. I mean, there were several brands which have done it before, similar formats and everything. But I think our generation really, it's because Blue Tokai in many ways has become like a go-to spot for a lot of people, right? Now we talk about like second space, third space, whatever, but I think they were the first people who made it a third space.
And possible at the same time, in a very nicer way. And I always look up to Blue Tokai in that spectrum, that I started my coffee journey because of it. I started everything, drinking coffee in the first place, like nice drinking coffee, because of Blue Tokai. And later on, when I got into it, I realized, okay, there's a lot more to it. And that, there are certain callings in your life that you just surrender to. I surrendered to coffee. I knew I wanted to do something with coffee. I didn't know what and how and where exactly I'll go, because I come from totally different background. From literature and philosophy and sociology background. For me, hospitality is all new and it's all self-taught at the same time. I just went after it because I felt like, okay, this is something that I feel drawn to and I won't question it. And here we are right now talking in this space.
It's when we look at spaces like this, right? And you obviously that now it's become cool to be in coffee, right? Because everyone and their grandmother is starting a coffee shop. But how important is it to sort of stand out in the market?
I think you just need to give the comfort. That's how you just stand out in the market, because it becomes very challenging when your cafe is not either Instagrammable or trendy worthy with all the beverage creation with the multiple things that are coming out now. I won't name.
it's like there's so much to it, right? And then you've got these different roasts and you've got these different sort of additives to the milk. You have to make your own syrups if you want to stand out. Then you've also got to jump on Instagram and TikTok and maybe do a dance to make it work. And there's just so much which goes into it. But when you tell me a little bit about what's your take on alternatives, right? Like your alternatives to milk, right? Because I make my own milk. Where do you sort of draw the line?
I draw the line on the jargon. I draw the line on when it gets too out of hand in the spectrum, when you have a lot of choices, right? And you cannot please everybody. You cannot just cater to everybody. So you need to look at your SOPs at the same time. So how I see Altry as well, how I see things working in the operation is we make our own syrups, right? Everything from the scratch we make. With the vegan milk and everything that I really appreciate on this take, I closely work with, there's a brand called Vegan Day. So I use their almond and millet milk and we make it here. You just have to stir it. And at times, if someone asks for oat milk, we do a bandwidth to that, and we make our own oat milk here for that. But that's where I draw the line. I cannot go forward, stretch towards the lactose-free option now,
You
because
milk your own milk, basically.
yeah, it's like that only.
It's weird, but it's very important, because right now there are so many, because I just feel with sort of the additives which go into food in general, a lot of us have become intolerant to a lot of foods and a lot of substances. And when you have all your allergies, your intolerances and all, you have to sort of, especially if it's a home space, right, a third space,
you need to cater to everything.
You need to cater to it, right?
For sure.
Yeah, even though a lot of people have very strong opinions about vegans and things like that, but if you're serious about this becoming your second space, if this is home for people, at home you cater to yourself, right? So you need to sort of be open to everything, right? That's very important.
Yeah, so it's like you need, as we talked about, how people feel good about being seen, and that's how community builds at the same time, right? We have curated it such in a way that we have vegan options. Let's say we are creperie, right? So our base of the crepes is vegan by default and it's gluten free. So I have catered to that market as well, without any, putting some jargon or many other options, making it really fancier for people to be intrigued by, okay, this is something they want to try, and it's just something else altogether when it comes to the table. So make it friendly enough that you're catering to everybody's demand, keeping their allergens and the health issues or their priorities of taste or palate in your head, and not killing your SOPs and operations at the same time.
That's very hard, right? Because especially when you do a menu which is very nuanced, where it's so customizable, how do you build the back end, right, in terms of SOPs and all? But as a brand, when you think of Alltree, do you see it being a sort of a brand where you can replicate it in multiple locations, or are you happy with just the one?
Happy with just the one. I'd rather open multiple ideas that I have rather than opening another Alltree, because I think Alltree is built for a specific area and specific space and specific mindset, right intent, and very specific, everything just specific. I wouldn't want to replicate it further.
So there'll never be another store like this?
There could be, but not in the same city.
Same country?
Could be and could be not. Maybe we have to wait for that.
I've heard rumors that it's maybe in another continent as well. So.
It could be Netherlands.
Oh shit! But that's it, right? I mean, because for any young entrepreneur, right, like getting to one is obviously a challenge, but 1 to 2, 2 to 3 is very hard, and you get especially when the first thing you've done hits, right? Then you're like, where do I go from here? Do I try and maximize revenue from this one location, or do I sort of copy paste the model and figure out what's next? And that is especially because maybe when you have your SOPs dialed in as maybe you have it's a tempting sort of offer to maybe
it becomes easier for you to even copy paste your own brand into multiple locations. But I would want to, since this is so close to me, Alltree, and the idea of community, I'm very serious about it. Aziz है बहुत ज़्यादा ना, so I wouldn't want to dilute it further like that. I'd rather open a different altogether space for that idea or spectrum, or challenge myself further. What other things I can fall into in the name of offerings? That's how I look at the businesses.
But when we talk about burnt fingers, obviously this is
Jal gayi yaar.
Oh, don't, you're hitting home with that one. But there are a couple of, when you, like, for any young entrepreneur coming into space, and let's talk about F&B in general, but maybe to dial in a little bit further, maybe into coffee, right? Like hyper specific. If someone wants to, like a young Sahil who's burnt his fingers multiple times, and eventually got it right, there is a certain piece that comes from knowing how far you've come and everything you've done, right? So like imagine there's like a young blue-eyed Sahil wanting to make coffee for the first time, or getting into this coffee space, right? He's sitting in Blue Tokai reading his book, right, journaling, and trying to maybe start a space. What's like a piece of advice you would give him?
Exposure to your own self in the market. You need to gain enough knowledge, enough idea of doing anything in the first place, so that something that you're doing first hand for the first time, you need right guidance, and the right guidance is a nuance again, like inside with a partnership, not partnership
Oh
anymore.
God, let's not talk about partnerships.
So
Swiftly
multiple
moving
things.
on. Yeah.
It's like you need to gain enough knowledge and put yourself outside more to gain more exposure of something that you really want to do. It could be anything. It could be any business where you will eventually burn your fingers again.
Yeah.
But it will be very controlled, because some things that you only do, then you only know how things work after a while when you have actually done it.
Yeah.
So the advice I would love to give the younger side who is, opening a business, to be well versed with things first, and don't consume all the knowledge and all the experience just by yourself. Put yourself out, get mentored maybe, and see the industry closely. It could be anything. It could be any business, any idea, any job. That's how you save yourself, and that's how you actually grow and outgrow yourself. Again, learning and unlearning is your main thing.
Looking back on your entire journey, would there be anything you would do differently?
आऊंगा ही नहीं वापस मैं लाइफ ही नहीं करनी.
Yeah,
I think many things I would do differently. To begin with, I would never do partnerships.
Dude, very sensitive topic. Can we move on, Sahil? Like we've all been there, done that, right? But I think it's also like when you talk about partnership, right?
Yeah.
The whole idea behind a partnership is you are really good at this. I am really good at that.
Yeah.
I know what I know. I don't know. I know what I don't know as well,
Yeah.
right? And that was a real tongue twister. But if you sort of maybe get a little more nuance and you go a little bit into the industry and you've got some time, a few years behind you, you sort of realize that, hey, maybe I don't know 100% of this. I know a good solid 30%, and so no one can bullshit me.
Yeah.
So maybe I will pay someone to take over that portion, right? Because a lot of times it's just a different mindset when you have multiple people coming in together. And ours is an industry which gets so hard, right? And just the sort of time that it takes to pursue this field sort of makes people crack.
Yeah.
Right? It's because hospitality is not for everyone, right? Hospitality school, I feel, is basically something where it breaks you as an individual.
Yeah.
And you come back stronger, but you also come with that ridiculous work ethic, right? Not everyone has that work ethic. And if you feel that, okay, I'm working 18 hours a day, 16 hours a day, and someone is working barely 4 and or just completely not performing, that irks you, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of the sort of tips start. And then obviously I feel like money is always going to be one of the biggest breaking points, right? If you're making a lot of money really quickly, that's certainly a breaking point. If you're making no money for a sustained period, people show cracks, right? But when it's just me, myself, and I, okay, you trust yourself and you just say, chalo, let's keep going. Let's put our head down and just keep working through this, right? It's a big part of it. But when you talk to a new entrepreneur, like a first-time entrepreneur, would you still think that there's space for newcomers in the coffee industry?
Yeah, every day, I would say. But only if you're not... See, it's very easy to copy-paste anything. It's very easy to replicate anything. You just need to carry on the same SOPs, let's say, right? But what new things actually you are bringing to the table, there's where it becomes a task. That's where people stop either believing in themselves and they fail, or they believe too much in themselves that they fail again.
Oh yeah, I know a few people like that.
There needs to be a good middle ground to that, and that I call self-awareness. As you said, right? Ki 30% bhi agar humko pata hai, you will delegate the work. So in this industry or any other industry at the same time, that's how it should be working. How I see it as, if it's about creativity, right? I would rather have multiple minds working with me. Because in creativity, it can be really fluid, it can be really fun at the same time. It can create a dance. Like a water again, it can create a dance. But when it's a business, you need to either delegate or you need to choose your partner really, even if you choose your partner wisely. There will come a point. At least that's the experience that I have had.
Don't you think it's with like creative people in general, right? Because people like you and me, right? We are weird people by nature.
Happily.
Right? happily, right? And sometimes when you find that one person who gets your weird, it's very easy and it's a no-brainer to 100% go with it, but it's not easy for everyone else to come along. Or if you've got like a ridiculous vision that you're just chasing towards, where a lot of times with entrepreneurship in general, right, you have an end goal, right, which no one else sees but you, and you're somehow just walking through like random hurdles which crop up, and F&B, there's just a billion different things thrown your way, but for you to just keep moving towards that, you have to be delusional in a sense, right? Because we've got the barrier for entry in our industry is so low. Anyone can open, it's not even capital which is hard, or expertise. You can start, anyone with instant coffee can start a coffee shop, right? Sure. It's easy. Most people do it at home, right? But moving past all of that, it's just the sort of vision that you need to have, right? And it's hard to communicate that vision with two other people who have two completely different experiences of life in general, right? So we've all had like our share of weird customers, right? People who break you as an individual. So I wanted to just ask you, like, do you have a memory of a customer who's like, we've all seen that reel of yours where someone says, "Arey yaar, mujhe kuch nahi chahiye." Then why did they come? Right? Like it's ridiculous stuff. Like, do you have any? Because I know every operator in this industry has something crazy. What is the story you have?
There was this story. My team was behind it. I was actually outside doing something. There was this customer who wanted to drink something that has no coffee in it, no sugar in it, no milk in it, no soda in it at the same time, no tea in it, no caffeine whatsoever, no dairy in it at the same time, no cream, no vegan cream, no lactose, nothing.
She really liked the ambience.
I think she just wanted to order water in the first place. And my team actually considered to give her water, but they were polite enough to like कि नहीं करते छोड़ते हैं कोई नहीं, and they was just said कि कुछ भी नहीं है. After that, I actually launched a menu that has nothing like that, whatever she described. I haven't seen you.
You haven't seen her since.
Better come.
You see, she's never come back.
No.
A whole menu for nothing.
I made a whole menu according to those lines. I made a smoothie with coconut water and using actual ingredients in it.
So this no-name lady has never shown up again.
No-name lady
never showed up. Does she know she has a menu made after her?
I don't think so. Maybe she...
No-name lady who's come once and never come back.
You need to.
We're looking for
My
you.
My team is forward, looking for you right now. Even I am.
But that's the thing, right? I love, like, we as operators in general, we go above and beyond, right? Because I think they're all broken individuals who look for that little bit of validation. And when we see someone who needs our help, right? Like, we just geek out, but also for someone to make a drink like that, you need to have a very good understanding of your product. And only when you know the rules can you break the rules, right? And it's very important to know. And besides that, now you've had this weird experience. Now you've made the menu, you've done everything you could, right? And still the customer you've never seen her again.
Yeah.
Has that menu helped make it easier for people with similar issues?
Oh, it did. It did wonders actually. People,
so we don't hate her.
We don't hate her. We like her.
We like her.
But I just need to like convey it to her at the same time. Have it.
but you do so much here with the space and everything. And also, for some reason, you roast your own beans.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of brands don't really do it. They prefer to buy it B2B and things like that, especially because we have space constraints. We have team constrictions. We've got capital, which is very limited when we set up something, especially when we don't have multiple outlet setups. But you've got a microbrewery. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What is that?
So, micro roastery idea is I'm not a cafe owner. I'm a coffee roaster.
It's a roastery.
It's a brewery for us in the end, no? If you think about it.
We can ferment anything, by the way. There's a friend of mine called Sudhir Malvi. I'm sure you know him. He ferments everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Maybe that's why he's a little buzzed all the time, but he's like a pirate of sorts. Very, very eclectic individual.
Cuckoo in the head like us in the end, right?
That's why people like him make perfect partners.
Yeah. Okay, I'm looking forward. Just saying.
So, like with the space and everything, so now we've got a microbrewery, right? So, how much does that affect your end product?
I wanted to have a total control of it at the same time, right? And how I see coffee, I am too close to it. मेरे बहुत ज़हन में उतरी हुई है, तो मुझको था कि यार, if I'm doing something, I might as well do it, getting into it, becoming one with it, and cafe came
You
later.
make it sound so sensual, becoming one with the coffee, getting into it. Like, where does this stem from? It's
That's the
coffee,
life I have had.
Maybe that's why you've chosen to make this like a
Yeah,
career, right?
that's reflected in this space at the same time. I just don't convey it to the people.
But it's I think this whole nuance about sort of controlling the process, right?
Yeah.
That term you use, because I remember when we were making sandwiches, right? A lot of times we had our own setup where we could cure and produce all of the prep, right? We used to make it so prep heavy, prep intensive, because we wanted to control that narrative. But for some reason, just because of budgetary reasons, we couldn't make our own bread. Like, we really tried. We even went to like a vendor, got our own recipe, did multiple trials there. But when you can't control a certain segment of the product, you sort of lose control of the product in general, right? So has that been your main driver to even do your...
No. My main driver was to actually create something that I know about or try to know about every day, because there's new knowledge every day about coffee, especially when you're roasting it. I wanted to become a roaster because it's a therapy for me, right? It's like knowing something again and again and again and again. And either you just, fail terribly, or you create something totally wonderful that you cannot believe yourself, and you say कि यार ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता, ये तो हुआ ही नहीं, ये तुमने तो करा ही नहीं. Burnt fingers.
But it's so hard, right? Especially because when we have space limitations and time limitations, and we have human resource, which is becoming more and more expensive, as we proceed. You make your own syrups. Just now someone was chopping apples at the back. But when syrups are offered at such a reasonable cost, shelf stable, what makes you want to make your own?
I want to make something that is truer to nature, real to nature. I'm happily reckoning the cost for that, because I don't want to give anything that is store-bought. Preservatives are there, and some ingredients are there that I don't want to... don't want my consumer to actually, consume it. So we give enough time in preparing everything in the kitchen from scratch, majorly syrups and coffee, that if I'm giving something, it needs to be truer to nature and real, and it should feel real. It should be clean. I love to follow a clean food philosophy thoroughly. Even if it's take time or costlier on the pocket, I am happier doing that. I don't want to follow the easier route and get the syrups that are available in the market. And with that, I can actually enhance and grow my menu further. That gives me more items to add in.
Because even your food menu is you've got things like crepes and all of that on your menu, but they are not normal crepes, are they? You've things like buckwheat and different millets and all of that.
It's like they have Rajgira, they have chestnut ka, singhade ka atta. So it's made with 4 flour that is gluten free, and might as well give something that is actually... So Altry is actually a conscious kitchen. I just don't convey it or project this brand as such, because then you have a perception like कि अच्छा ये तो healthy ही है, या फिर ये बहुत ज़्यादा clean हो गया, मेरे को खाना ही नहीं. That's not my marketing gimmick. My gimmick, it's not a gimmick. My idea is, I want to give it.
It's your hook, right? So because when you have a solid coffee program, you need a reasonably good food program as well to go, right? Because even if you're just going to look at the product, now if someone is drinking just coffee, there needs to be a break, right? Where you have to slip in a little bit of food. And sometimes I feel like because we are so specialized in one thing, because we are so good at one thing, we sort of neglect what we're not good at. So it's a very important sort of balance and harmony.
It's funny how so the chef who helped me build this menu, Tasya, hello Tasya, she was like, you are creating a very limited menu with just crepes and tartines. Are you sure about it?
No one does that. That's why I call you weird, right? Because it's cheaper. Like, just imagine, right? Someone who's into coffee, has their own roastery, geeking out with the program and everything. It's the easiest thing to call up a B2B vendor, a solid B2B vendor, and just be like, hey, why don't I put a display fridge here, right? And just fill it with croissants or fill it with pan au chocolat.
Just assemble it and give.
Or deconstruct. And when your croissant is 2 days old, you make it whatever, right? You rejig it. But you've stayed so clear away from all of that. But has that been a good thing or a bad thing?
Very good thing for me. Challenging for sure, because when we were even curating our menu, it was really hard to build a gluten-free, egg-free and vegan-based crepe ka base in the first place. And Tasha straight up said कि तू पागल हो चुका है. You know, तू मेरे साथ पागल होएगी अब. You have no other choice basically.
Yeah.
And I believed in it, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to proceed further with the idea कि यार try नहीं करा. जब तक try नहीं करोगे, जब तक literally if you won't burn your fingers with these ideas, these challenges as well, no?
Yeah.
And these are your ethics at the same time, how you perceive life.
Where you draw the line.
Yeah. So this is where I want you to draw the line.
Because a lot of it is very when you look at new menus that come out, people say farm to fork, farm to table, organically sourced. Now, I find that to be such bullshit, right? Because in India, you cannot. If you work with a specialty farm or whatever, maybe you can control the narrative, but then you don't really know. And if you're doing your business on a reasonably large scale, sort of trying to control this narrative of where your table is and how you want to source your ingredients, you don't have that. So I always say control what you can, right? And just omit what you can't. It just makes things more believable, even for the customer, right? And I think the customer is so done with all of these random fads. But
people are still falling for it though, the trends and everything. And that's where you filter your own crowd, right? So when you ask me like why I started the micro roastery or roastery in the first place, because there's a lot to do with coffee. It's highly intriguing for me every day. Many coffees, like many ideas, many roast profiles. And the fun part with roasting coffee is if you and I are a roaster, and we are roasting the same coffee on the same machine, it will be different. Your profile will be different and my profile will be different. That's a way of seeing how you see coffee and what sort of a profile you want to create out of that coffee, or a flavored profile that actually exists in that single bean. And multiple beans and multiple farms and producers are doing crazy thing with the fermentations and everything. Although I always go to the classic with my Americanos, and I love my pour overs, only black, no milk. I hate milk in my coffee and sugar. I'm not attacking anybody.
He's directly attacking me for some reason. I've never had coffee without milk and sugar, a lot of sugar, because coffee is bitter.
Yeah, it's not bitter. If you roast it nicely, if you're using a great coffee at the same time, it's not bitter. My coffee is not bitter.
Very recently, because now I'm at a space where we get really good coffee, really good beans and things like that. I've been given a lot of grief for dousing it with sugar syrup and things like that. It's blasphemy. But I'm starting to enjoy the flavor of coffee a lot more, but I still can't do all black.
Someone asked me the other day, exactly this, that they do not consume coffee because it's bitter, and I didn't know what came over my head. I was like, so is life.
Life is bitter. It's not
might
easy.
As well enjoy it with coffee,
which is also bitter. But it's quite crazy. And especially when you've got a space where you can do whatever you want, right? I mean, staying true to your vision is by far, I think, the most important.
And being aware of your own flaws. That's the main thing that people, don't pay attention to.
Tell me this. You've set up the space, right? How do you still manage to take time out? I know you were just in Goa right now. And where do you get the time? How does the operation run without you? Have you built your SOP so strongly that you can bounce? And it's not just you. I see this with a lot of my coffee roaster friends. They're most of the time not at their shops. I'm not naming names, right? There's this fun, eclectic duo that are part of the coffee space in Delhi. They're never in their coffee shop. They're never in Delhi, and sometimes they're never in the country.
But I want to become them. The not country part.
Soon. But how does it run? Is it because coffee is an easier sort of a field to stabilize your SOPs? Because food, the F of F&B is insane. So how do you manage?
Extension. Your team is your extension. If your team is managed well, trained well, and know about the product well, then they can actually take right control the way you want it to be. And it's very important for people like us to actually take out time. Otherwise, then we will enter our burnout, and when you're in your burnout, you won't be able to either pay attention to yourself, your emotional labor that you put in the business, and then your operations gets, downhill completely.
Yeah.
So yes, it's not easier to stabilize anything. That's why I have to come back. Otherwise, I would just have been in Goa.
But that's the thing with, I feel like Goa has become a refuge for a lot of people, right? Because especially creatives.
Yeah.
I mean, I was there for about a year and a half, and and leaving Goa really does something to you. But it's a beautiful space, and I think it ties in with your philosophy of slow living as well. There are very few things that can, rush a Goan.
Yeah. Right? So there are actually two places in Goa that are doing the same thing with the slowing down. One is Sabr Coffee.
Yes.
And great duo. Like, I love them. And how the duo actually pays attention to the details of it and how they make sure that everything hits the right spot. And then there's other place called Foundry. And it's chef driven. Again, highly community forward place. And these are the two businesses actually that gave me a lot of motivation and, take that call in Gurgaon. Like,
really?
Take that call.
Yeah.
That if it can exist somewhere else, the idea of, slowing down and believing that what you want to deliver to your consumer, these are the examples that they are doing, right? So for me, I looked upon themselves to those guys, okay, if they can do it and they're pulling it nicely, might as well, it's my calling to fall for it and do it, and then maybe have regrets later, but it's not like कि मैंने कभी try नहीं करा.
But why Gurgaon? Like, you could have opened anywhere. It just happened.
It just happened.
Same, brother, same. Because people ask me, like, why did you open in Gurgaon? Because you're not from Gurgaon. No one you know is from Gurgaon. It's Gurgaon. Like, why would you open that? But in hindsight, there was a lot of thought to it, right? I just felt that just in terms of distance and the market fit, I don't know, it was just a hunch, right?
Yeah.
Was there anything specific with you when it came to Gurgaon? Like, no. Because you're originally from Delhi. You've been in Delhi.
I never wanted to open in Gurgaon. I was scouting for spaces in Delhi actually, because that's my comfort spot and that's where my people are, right? But this space just came on its own. So a friend told me कि यहाँ पे एक बार ये जाके देख Vidur. You know Vidur, right? So he told me कि एक बार जाके देख. मैं खोलना ही नहीं क्रॉस पॉइंट में, तो बिल्कुल नहीं खोलूंगा मैं. गुड़गांव और क्रॉस पॉइंट.
Any regrets?
No regrets. The only regret, the greenery is gone. The outside greenery, because of the construction and everything.
They just ravaged that entire place. That was one of my favorite places, and I used to have a little recreational spot over there, which has now gone missing. And it suddenly, I think, with just the construction on both sides, but I think that's where Altry comes in.
I think that's how the romanticization at the same time comes in. So do you think I'm sitting in Gurgaon right now? No. I'm somewhere else.
Completely off, huh?
Completely off, unhinged.
Yeah, when you're in Goa, you're actually mentally in Gurgaon, and when you're in Gurgaon,
when I'm in Goa, I'm in my reality. Okay. When I am here, I hate the word performance, because most of the time, to survive the society, we perform in a certain way.
Performative males.
Performative males तो चलो एक अलग ही कैटेगरी है तुम्हारी, मगर still तुम्हारे चक्कर में हम जज हो रहे हैं.
No, dude, but you actually genuinely, when you look at Sahil, right? Now he's someone who's got a lot of personality, right? It's just not just your look, your vibe, but also your completely apeshit crazy perspective on life, right? Which is so out there that it makes people want to know more about you, right? That's why I felt that this would be a beautiful conversation, because you, irrespective of everything that's going on, like even through your entire construction process of here, you had to change your ducting.
You remember the ducting part.
Even your kitchen, right? Your kitchen is built so intuitively, right? Where it's, as like being a chef, you're used to kitchens being a certain way.
Yeah.
But you, just the way, like when you look at this space, especially the kitchen, right? First, I get zapped. I'm like, how does this even?
Because you come from that chef background at the same time.
And I'm like, it's so intuitive, but it's also random. And I left here just feeling.
Yashvi from Lami actually pointed it out in the first place. The
Best breads,
first
by the
ever.
way.
I love the breads. I love the sourdoughs and everything that she gives. So she was the first person to see my ducting or my chimney spotted. She's like, "Are you fucking out of your mind?"
It's insane.
And I thought she's out of her mind because she's not seeing what I'm seeing. But later on, I did.
But that's Sahil, right? Are you out of your mind? No, are you out of your mind? Am I in Gurgaon? Right? Like it's ridiculous. But
I'm happy that I listened to her.
I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
You know, you try to fight it, but then eventually you must give in.
Yeah.
And but a product like this, right, where you have to build the space completely from scratch and everything, you've put in so much love and energy into the space. Do you find yourself wanting to spend a lot more time here, or do you enjoy working out of home as well?
I cannot work out of home, frankly. I have myself to search for the cafes that actually allow workspaces because I love the murmurings around, love the sound of the coffee that is happening and the buzz. Yeah, it gives me connection to the place and, you know, to myself. I love to be here when I'm roasting my coffee, when I'm brewing, because I love to brew for people what I have roasted and, you know.
Absolute worst review you've gotten?
Rude own establishment. Because
obviously you kick people out, like it's a thing. Like, were you surprised?
People were like, there was this. I'm talking about you though, just so you know.
And not the lady, someone else.
No, the someone else was sitting here, opened a laptop. We have no work policy at all, right? And the guy was drinking his coffee. And the moment he opened the laptop, I walked up to him and I was like, politely asked him that we are not work friendly. Can you just? I really appreciate it if you just don't work out of here. And he shut the laptop up and drank his coffee, giving me a look, coffee to pi loon. That's the space. That's the purpose of the space, right? And he was the guy who actually said, this is not done. This is not how the business done. This is not how the business run. I mean,
so
it's crazy, entitlement at the same time. They cannot take a no.
And imagine if you had a partner, right? They would be like, what are you doing? You're turning away revenue. You're throwing out money at this point, right? And you know, setting up a space is so capital intensive, right? So what keeps you just motivated doing that?
Literally saying, I hate the word, but I love the word at the same time. Community.
Community. Yeah,
I am all up for community. You know,
I'm building my own community.
I'm building my own community. I want people to come together, you know, and to my extension. This is my personality's extension at the same time, my mindscape, how I see life, how I perceive life. And if someone relates to that, all welcome. I want people to just, you know, reconnect with themselves, right? Have a conversation, read a book, talk, again, just do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps me going here.
One quick question before you leave. When Sahil leaves work, what's he up to?
Either climbing or working out or dancing. Happily. While thinking about the day, how it actually went. And while in the middle of doing something, I realized, oh shit.
I'm here. I'm in Gurgaon.
Maybe, I'm in Gurgaon and maybe I forgot some order maybe. Or I forgot to communicate this with my team. And again, I'm in Gurgaon. Oh shit.
Yeah. Love it. That's amazing.
Happily liking it. Just people know that I like living here.
In a
no
space,
backlash happening.
Second space.
Second safe space, yes.
Thank you so much for
coming
on the podcast and absolute pleasure.
Always, man.
See you, brother.